Hello and welcome back to Indalo. Well, I'm just getting ready to do the whole breakdown of the layout here. No, not break dancing, breakdown. So obviously all of the trains and everything that's actually movable has to come off. So there's a lot of things that we tend to put on layouts, even as small as this, and not fix them down. So I've got a lot of work to do. And the reason I'm actually doing all of this, obviously all of this, the high street is all got to be broken down and the cars and everything else. And this top section here, I'll need to take off. And then obviously this bottom section, the fiddle yard, will need to come off as well. Now, where I've actually in here, I've got a break. You can't see it, but there's a break. I haven't yet. You see there's obviously where the two boards join here along that line. I haven't yet cut this track because I had an issue initially with this track. So I put a new curved piece in coming from the end of this point there all the way around to there. I put a whole new section in and it runs smoothly. So I'm a little bit loath to actually, do I actually obviously get it pinned correctly there and then cut it across there, and hopefully it will join again okay when I put this board, this section here of the fiddle yard back in situ with the main layout, or do I try to find out where I've actually put the pins along here and just take the whole section up and then put it back in when I come to lay this board down again. I mean, the whole point, I think, really of a board like this that you can move is that it is flexible and that you can take it up as and when you need it. Okay, so why am I doing all this, you may ask? Well, as you know, along the high street, I have my wonderful Viessmann cars and trucks that drive up and down the high street. But that's really all they do. But I've always planned, you might see the indicators going right now because I've actually put the relevant magnets in there to do the right indicator. So it will come down here and it'll come down here onto another board. So I've planned to extend this. So the other side of this, rather than going up and down this high street, is that it goes from here all the way along there, and then it goes down into the mountain, and then it comes around under the mountain. And I'm going to remove this track because this track at the moment, if you follow this, it comes off of a turnout here, and it just goes round, it works its way, winds its way up the mountain. And my initial plan was for it to come out somewhere over here. That was when I first laid it down. But now I've decided to actually, I've got to actually take all of this out, all this layer out, turn it around, and I've got to cut a hole in there. Let me put that out of the way. So where I had this runway now, or a road, this vehicle will just come along here and it'll go down and it go into a hole, a tunnel. So I'm gonna have to figure out how I'm gonna do that. I've looked at, the idea that I got was very close to me, there's an underground car park, and it's an area by where, if you can imagine going along a road and then all of a sudden it just dips down and it goes down underground, and just obviously around it is a wall, but it's just on, everything's on one level. So rather than you going down into the car park, you can obviously bypass it and go around. So that's what I want to do on this side over here. But to do that, I've got to take all of this out and work on the back side of this mountain. Then it'll come around underneath the mountain, and I'm going to take this track up and I'm going to make that into a road all the way around there where those wagons are there. It's going to come around all the way down here, and then it will spur off across this level crossing, and it'll come basically here. So I've got to put a new board coming across here, and then eventually it's going to come up the hill or an incline, and it's going to join here. So that it would be then a complete route. So it'll go from the roundabout there all the way down in the tunnel, out all the way around. So I've got to remove all of that track and lay all new tape for the trucks and cars to run, and all the way along here as well I've got to lay new tape and track coming all the way up to here. So then it'll come and join that path. So I won't go around the roundabout, it'll come off that direction into the tunnel, and then it'll go around and it'll come up to here. I've actually already put the magnets here, so it will stop before it enters this area, and then it'll indicate right, and it'll come along here. And then phase 2 or 3 will be that it'll then come around here and then down onto another board that would be situated this sort of level coming out. And then it'll go around the village, and again it'll come back up. So that will be one huge great big loop that it'll go around. But what I'm going to be doing over the next probably week it's going to take me is to actually, once I've broken everything down and secured everything away safely, is to work on the back side of this, because I've also got to, using this sort of very thin plywood, prepare to go from this level here, say cut the hole and make an incline down that it's got to come level to there. So I've got to go down that much. So from the level of this road, take it down behind this, or inside that mountain. You won't see it. Obviously all this is hollow, but so inside of that mountain is going to be this board that's got to be cut and curved, and then I've got to do loads of testing with it to make sure it works. Because obviously the last thing I want to do is actually have a truck or car stuck in there. So I thought to myself, well, if that happens, what am I going to do? I can't pull all this out again. So I spent a couple of hours thinking about it, and I think the easiest way for me to do this is to actually, inside this mountain, or the depth of this mountain, you see I've actually got the structure with this, I think it's like a 1.5 centimetre square timber, like balsa wood, is to actually put another structure going along that area there. So it'll be half of the mountain will have a structure. Then this area here will have effectively like a lift off top, as it were. So I can take, and obviously then I can get to that area there. If there are any misrailed cars, or anything happens, I can then get into there. And I mean, it might be a little bit difficult over that area, but again, I think I've still got enough reach if this was obviously all taken away. So what I've got to do, and the reason I've got to have all of this out, is not just to do that, but I've got to put a new structure underneath along here and cut this out. So it's quite a big job to do. So it's probably going to take me longer just to pack all this stuff away and take it off and secure it, but I will try to give you updates along the way as well, just to show you the inside. And once I've cut that mountain and, as I say, put a new structure in along here to support this, then I'll make a new lift out section here, so I can actually take that completely. I mean, this is not going to be the actual board, but this will give you the idea. So if that was there like that, a complete top lift out section, that'll be the new road. I'll have a cutout here for the cars to go down, or the trucks, and then if any errors happen, I can then lift that out and it'll be completely exposed to the underneath. So that is the plan. So I've got a lot to do with getting all this sorted, but we'll keep you updated with what's going on at Indalo. So hopefully when that's done and all tested, we're going to have a long route for the cars and trucks to actually move around on. This is just one I've got here at the moment just to show you how it's all working. But this is a Viessmann carmotion truck. It's the Mercedes tipper truck, and it's absolutely flawless, I must say. And also the people at Viessemann, I won't name an individual, but they are very, very supportive. Yes, I mean, like everything, you can have issues, like the magnet not picking up the tape, or a light not working, or whatever it might be. But Viessemann, I will give them this, they always give you first class support. So if you're looking for a vehicle that is moving on your layout, I would highly recommend them. I mean, it's not easy to lay, and you can't see anything here, but obviously underneath here, there is that magnetic tape that the vehicles do actually follow. They're not cheap, but I think, you only get what you pay for. They are good quality vehicles, but any little teething problems, you've got the support there, both in English, obviously in German, but I don't know about other languages, but they are very, very supportive. And they want to find a solution. Whatever you might say to them, whether it be software, hardware, they always want to help. So that is always a good thing. Anyway, enough of me waffling on and telling you about what's going to be happening. I will be showing you what has happened after I've broken all this down, and show you the inside and the various different steps and stages I'm going to be doing on this next build. Okay, bye for now. So this is a behind the scenes look of what it looks like underneath the mountain. That will be a half a mountain soon. So you might just be able to see, this is the area that I need to pick up on. So the car will come along this road, or the truck will come along this road, and then it go down through. So it comes through here and around, and eventually end up over there. So it's a decline and a turn. So I'm going to have to do probably a lot of templates to work that out. Or just an idea, maybe if I take a third radius, and I can use that as maybe as a curve just to start with. But this is the what I'll call the horrible bit now, and that is taking up track. All that track that I spent hours, I'm sure we've all done it, putting down the cork bedding and all of this, the ballast as well. But it's got to come up, because this is going to now be the road that is going to follow through, comes out of the mountain and follow through all the way around. But I'm just taking up this bedding now. I'm trying to save track if I can. I've actually got this piece off, which is here, without damaging it, but this one, again, it's curved track. The rails just come off, but I can use the rails in other places. It's just come off of the plastic. But I'm going to try and save as much as I can, and maybe reuse it in areas, just clean it up, clean the ballast off of it. So I've got to now take that part off over the bridge there. The bridge is going to stay, and the trucks and cars, if I can get one. Where is one? Okay, right, got one. So the trucks that are roughly about this sort of size, the Viessmann trucks, will obviously come along a single track road or over a single track bridge. So they're going to come out of there. So I don't need to do any alterations on this. They can come out of that arch there, along the bridge, all the way along here, past the station and around, and all the way over to the other side. So that's the plan. So I'm going to get on now and destroying my layout that I spent hours. I remember putting all this in, this riser. This is, if you can see it here on the side, this is actually one of those riser kits that you get, and it actually went up to 3% all the way over there as it come round. I had a break here, obviously a road that goes into the station, and it goes all the way down. So the graduation is going to be no problem for the trucks, because they will actually, the Viessmann trucks go up to 30% radius. So I'm going to get on and do that, and I'll keep you posted. Hello, welcome back to Indalo. Well, just a quick update on what I'm doing with my road or my cars and trucks around my layout. I've actually built the decline that's going to go down and in around the mountain, and I've embedded the tape into this for the trucks to run, and sprayed it a sort of tarmacy colour, which is the same colour as the high street. So I'm going to actually do a live test now. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it will work okay. I've actually laid tape all the way from here. So this will come from the high street, from this area here. This is where the high street board actually latches onto this section. I've measured it, it's 19 millimeters from that top to there. So the tape will come across here. I'll tuck it into that hole that I've left there. You might be able to see the tape there. You see it? Then once it goes round and down, it's going to go through there and all the way. Now I haven't sprayed it all the way a road colour, but obviously the road colour, you don't notice it so much. But I don't think I needed to waste paint, go all the way through there, just in case it'll have better contact. So as it goes through there, you see all the tracks as well that come underneath, under the underpass of where the truck's going on top here. It's going to go round, and I've laid tape, as you see over there, to come around. Firstly, I put down some masking tape, some really good strong 3M masking tape, just to actually leave a nice smooth surface all the way around. Now, I've only done it up until probably 2/3 of the way here, and taking the advice of Viessemann, and they say whenever you end the tape, you should drill a little 5mm hole, tuck it in, and then tuck the next section in of the next tape. And that's what I've actually done just there. It might look like a hole, but that tape coming from this direction is tucked in, and this tape is tucked in as well. So they're seamless, as it were. So there we are. I'm going to now do a live video of this truck. If it goes wrong, hey, this is what life's all about, right? Just to get things working and sorted. So here we go. So off he goes down the track. Obviously I can speed that up or slow it down, but there he goes around and underneath the underpass, and then it comes out across the bridge all the way down the decline that was the track, the 3% decline that I took the track up from, and all the way around, and eventually he will come around and onto a new section. So that's the end of it. So if I just stop that there, it'll actually come through. Well, I've actually got this tape marked here. So from that last piece of end of tape, it'll come through here all the way around. And now I've got to build a section of road onto the side of my layout along here, because I've got nowhere to go with it. To get back all the way, if you remember from the other videos, when it comes up again to this level to the high street, so I've got to actually build an incline here and a road all the way along here. So I can really only go as far as here at the moment. And I'm not going to put in this piece of tape because these are, I think, about 1.5 meter, no, they're a meter length. So that's going to bring me out to here. So I need to actually now construct the next phase of the road all the way along here. Take obviously all these guards off as well. And then in between the road, and I'm going to put this on this outside, again as a guard, if the truck does decide to go awry and fall onto the floor. I don't want a 200 euro repair job, because that's what these cost. So as this comes along here, I'm going to put these guards along here just as a safety net, because sometimes these things do decide to have a malfunction and maybe just go off. But that's probably operator error. It's not the error of the track or anything else. They just happen to do that sometimes. So, but I just don't want one of these down there like I've had with a train. I could have cried that day. So these really are just the, I think I've probably said before, they are the plastic sheathing, the casing that comes with points. So you'll have the pico points in here. And you really don't notice they're there. I mean, you could see through them, but it's a fantastic barrier. If a locomotive, well, this is actually my programming track here, but if a locomotive was coming around here, for example, and it derailed, it's not going to fall on the floor. It's going to hit this and just rest against this. I much prefer this than a high board. Some people have boards, but I think these are quite nice. And I'm recycling. Hey, good for the environment. So again, extending the road out to about here, put that plastic barrier all the way along here. That's my next job. And at some point, I can do this when this part of the layout is back in situ. And I've got, coming out of this side, the fiddle yards, because obviously I need to find the height to come up to here, back to here. Now, Viessmann say that their vehicles will actually climb a 30% gradient. I don't really want to put it to that sort of extreme, because I think, like anything, the more power that it takes, the less runtime you're probably going to have. So if I can probably do about a 20% gradient, maybe from about here all the way through to the high street level, and that's when it then goes down the high street again. But coming down the high street this way, if you can imagine the board that's here, that's coming out of here, the high street comes along here, it comes to a roundabout and it goes off right, and it then goes down, around, comes out over the bridge, all the way around, up, new section of road, up to the high street, along the high street again, and back down the high street at the moment, until I actually get the new section fitted in. But that's just really a bit of an update of what I've been doing. What I've got to do now is actually cover this like I've done with the decline section, this part here. So it actually looks like a road. I've got the sideboard to go on here. So that now I've actually secured all this in, and you know, oh, I must turn it off. I'll turn it off. One thing that can be your friend when you're modelling is this, a glue gun. If you haven't got one, go out and get one. They're very cheap. You can pick them up even from like some of the China stores, or from Amazon, or from Temu or AliExpress. But this one I got in Lidl. It's the Parkside brand. I think I paid about €10 for it. And you get these anywhere, hobby shops, the plastic glue. The downside of these are that they can be quite stringy. What I mean by stringy is that when you glue something, you have like, it looks like cobwebs, you know, like a string of glue sometimes that comes from these. But they are very effective. If you've got to glue something like this, and I've actually glued this here, and I've glued it in there, you don't notice it, you're not going to see it because all this is going to be covered, right? But this is now, it's solid. And the two pillars in there as well, you might see on the bottom there, around the bottom of that pillar, and that one where there's glue, but you're not going to see it, so it doesn't matter. But this now is solid, and it really does grab it quickly, and it's a nice solid fix as well. So that's maybe a tip. If you haven't got yourself a glue gun, go and get yourself one for modelling, because it does actually help. So what I'm going to do now is, now I'm happy with all this, I've done a bit of testing, I'm going to put the side on. I've got a top cut for here as well, just to give you an idea of what it looks like. There you go. So that will be, and there's enough clearance there for a truck height, let alone a car, but a truck height to go underneath the underpass. So this will all be covered in, and the good thing about this is that I will grass it the same as this side, so it matches in. But if I need to get to it, I just take that out, and I can get to it in here. So it gives me access as well. Now, for those of you that have been watching my videos, you probably will know I do have a passion for flying, and that's really why I put a runway in here initially. And this is meant to be the control tower. The runway has got redeveloped into an underpass, and I think this is more used to allow the trucks and the cars to actually go around the layout, to give it some authenticity and make it look like it is really active. So I'm going to get on now, putting all this side together and covering all this over, and I'll add some photos of that at the end of the video.